My name is Barry. I was born into love. My father, Richard, cared for me every day, and my mother, Anna, gave me warmth. We lived together in peace, and as their only son, I received all their care, attention, and hope. My father was my guide. Every night, he would sit with me and share simple truths: work hard, tell the truth, respect people, and never give up. He often wrote in his diary, filling its pages with lessons about life. I didn't understand them all when I was young, but I loved watching him write. He once said, "One day, Barry, these words will help you when I'm gone." I never imagined that day would come so soon. My mother was gentle and kind. She made sure I was never hungry, stood by me when I was sick, and listened whenever I felt sad. Then everything broke. My father began to fall ill from working too hard. He ignored his chest pains until one night, during dinner, he collapsed. We rushed him to the hospital, but his heart gave out. I still remember his last words: "Barry, be strong. Take care of your mother. Live with dignity." Then he was gone. I was 24, but I felt like a helpless child. My mother and I cried until we had no tears left. Life after his death was empty and cold. The chair he used to sit in was silent, and his diary sat untouched on the table. I began reading his diary every night. His words spoke to me as if he were still alive. "Pain is a teacher. Don't run from it," he had written. And another line, "Strength comes when you feel weak but still stand up." Slowly, I found comfort in those words. But then, 6 months after his death, something changed. My mother began talking about a man named Watson from her office. She said he was kind. I didn't think much of it until his name kept returning to her lips. One evening she said, "Barry, you should meet Watson. He helps me when I feel weak." Her words hurt deeply. When I met him, he smiled and shook my hand, but I saw through it. He wasn't a guest, he was an intruder. As months passed, Watson visited more often. My mother smiled again, but it wasn't the same smile. It was one built on loneliness. When I begged her to stop seeing him, she said, "I cannot live only in sorrow. Watson helps me breathe again." Her decision shattered me. Then came the day she said she was going to marry him. I felt betrayed, not just as a son but as a man who still loved his father's memory. The wedding felt like a funeral. Afterward, Watson told me coldly, "You will have to learn to live with this." I answered, "You are not my father." My mother cried and said, I had no choice, but I knew she did. After the marriage, Watson's true nature appeared. He treated me like a problem and told my mother to send me away. When she hesitated, he grew angry. Eventually, they decided to move out, leaving me alone in my father's house. My mother hugged me and said, "Please take care of yourself." I whispered, "You are choosing him over me." She said, "I am trying to live, Barry." When they left, the silence that filled the house was worse than death. I opened my father's diary and read, "When people leave, you must not leave yourself. I tried to believe it, even as hunger and loneliness consumed me. I worked small jobs, washing dishes, lifting boxes, delivering packages, just to survive. Each dollar I earned was proof that I was still standing. My body grew thin, my hands rough, but inside I became stronger. My father's diary guided me through every hardship. I wrote my own lines in its blank pages. I am still here. I am not broken. I will rise. Those words became my promise. Over time, I learned that pain builds strength. I started saving money and selling repaired books. Slowly, my efforts grew. I spoke to young people about honesty, resilience, and hope, lessons from my father's diary. My small talks turned into bigger gatherings. People said my words inspired them, and that was the moment I understood true success. It wasn't wealth, it was purpose. As my life began to rise, Watson's life began to fall. His greed and lies consumed him. My mother started calling again, her voice heavy with regret. Sometimes he's kind, sometimes he's not, she said. Later, she confessed that Watson had betrayed her with another woman and stolen her money before disappearing. She came back to me broken, crying, "Barry, I've lost everything." I held her and said, "You didn't lose everything, you still have me." For years, I had carried anger toward her, but seeing her in pain softened my heart. She asked, "Will you ever forgive me?" I said, "I don't know yet, but I will never leave you." My mother moved back home. She was fragile, filled with guilt, but I forgave her. We began to rebuild our life together. I told her how I survived, how I followed Dad's diary, how his words kept me alive. She said, "Richard was right. His words saved you, and now they're saving me." One evening, she looked at me and said, "You are stronger than I ever imagined." I replied, "I became this man because of the pain you gave me. But I forgive you." She cried softly and said, "I don't deserve you." I answered, "You don't have to deserve me. You just have to be my mother." We began reading my father's diary together. Every line brought us closer. The anger inside me turned into peace. My father's words had come true. One day, the pain you feel will become the reason for your success. I looked at my mother and said, "We lost years, but we still have time." She smiled through tears and whispered, "I will never leave you again." That night, I closed my father's diary for the last time and said, "Dad, I kept my promise. I took care of her. I did not let her fall alone." And for the first time in years, I felt peace, not because I became successful, but because I forgave. Forgiveness gave me back my family. Forgiveness gave me back my mother. And that was the life I had lost and finally found again.